Brovina. I come from Home University, from Sports University of Tirana. And I'm honored to co-chair this session with Professor Chani that comes from Vienna University.
Welcome also from my side. Good morning, everyone.
I hope everyone had a chance to rest because we had a very busy day yesterday, but very successful. And I hope this day will be again successful. We have a very tight schedule. We will complete 2 sessions for the morning. So we'll go for everyone and each presenter 8 minutes for the presentation. And then at the end of the session, we'll leave some space for questions asked. We start with the first speaker, Mr. Giuseppe Giardullo, that comes from Cagasso University. And he's going to present a topic about rediscovering graphomotor skills and educational necessity in the digital age. Floor for you.
Good morning from everyone. Today I will talk about a study entitled Rediscover Graphomotor Skill and Educational Necessity in the Digital Age. The digital revolution that has affected society for several years. Now a certain doubt about a significantly positive change in student learning, but at the same time it's favoring certain tasks, including the digitization, to determine the order, such writing and drawing. This resulted in the loss of certain movement that require a finer, more and precise movement, thus specific fine motor coordination skills. This resulting is very important. This is related to the acquisition of other knowledge that cover the different subjects, require the activation of indispensable elaborative processes. Skills that were normal and acquired in children until 5 years ago are now impaired, and there is no longer to control the small muscle of the body, thus hand, finger, to perform precise movement. These abilities is necessary of every day and for many activities of daily life. Fine motor skills are closely related with graphomotor skills. A smooth movement on the wrist, on the hand, on the finger to perform precise movement. However, in this time, there are no specific study to analyze this ability, and don't have any specific test to analyze these skills. For this reason, was used a test on psychomotor area, but was used only for the area of interest to us. The aim of this study is to explore the aspect of fine motor skill that are linked to the graphic representation of drawing with regard to children to 5 and 11 age, with the final objective of carrying out a study of the current situation and identifying the areas of greatest criticality. The sample consists of 60 children, 26 female and 34 male, aged 5 to 11 years. administration of the end of the shape test is the test of constructive practice and investigate only effect graphomotor representation to drawing, analysis, and evaluation. This is the test. It consists of a test to copy a model of 18 graphic shapes. The model to copy is placed in front of the IM at the eye level, and the ending model consists in a paper with two horizontal lines. The data analyzed is time spent and used type of tension, pressures like either regular, irregular, child posture, and order of execution of the figure. The area investigated: space, shape, dimension, above, below, general spatial organization, graphomotor organization, conjunction, reference line, extension, non-closure, motor quality, and the score were assigned to each parameter and transformed into percentile. The Pearson correlation was then calculated to check neutral, positive or negative correlation by two variables from different units. From the result, we have a normal time of classification. The end most used is right end. The motor quality is adequate. The global percentage is adequate. The graphomotor is adequate. But the space area is quite compromised. The posture is correct, but significant part of this, 50%, is not good. The prehension most used is the developing thumb, and the copy order is respected. From the Pearson correlation, we have the value of age and motor quality score. This is positive, moderate correlation. The value of age, graphomotor, and global score is moderate positive, but the strength funding, the most strength funding is the value between time and global score. This value is contrary to the common expectation, with most time spent on the task led better performance. The result on the end-of-shape test provide a comprehensive overview of the children motor and graphomotor skills, highlighting both positive and critical aspects. The analysis of the overall percentile is encouraging because it indicates that most of the participants don't have significant motor difficulty. The space percentile of the children showed inadequacies. Posture proved to be another area of concern, with 30% of participants are critical. The result of the study confirmed that, despite increasing the digitization, a good percentage of children maintain adequate motor skills. However, several critical areas emerge, such as visual spatial skills, motor quality, and posture, which require target intervention that should focus more on focused and well-organized strategy, especially in relation to the development of fine motor skill. It will be useful to extend the application of this study to other types of population, territory and culture, such as the Balkan and the Mediterranean ones, even to outside the European Union. This would contribute to the creation of research synergy, starting from activities that have already been successfully tested in Italy. I'm finished. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walter, for your presentation.
Okay, we shift as we did yesterday the questions after the session, so we continue with Christine de Martella. She's coming from the Free University of Brussels, and she will talk about people skills in movement and sport science, actual and future approaches in higher education. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the organization for this every work, everything we do here. I'm glad to present you on a project that we started in 22 on the 21st century skills. You will see that I use some terms mixed and I will explain. The 21st century skills or life skills are increasingly important, and that's also found in the literature, because these are key competences, cross-disciplinary. So imagine you think about communication, cooperation, and you teach in your place. How do you reach these goals, and how is it structured in your program? That's a little bit the question. But first of all, if there is no good tool to evaluate these 21st century skills or life skills, we also have a problem, because then you promise you will work on these skills. So our aim was to develop and validate an instrument that evaluates the level of these life skills among first-year students at the university. When we looked in the literature, we found some interesting, inspiring frameworks, like the P21 framework, where you can see in 3 big domains. There are life and career skills, learning and innovation skills, concerning critical thinking, communication, cooperation, creativity, and then the block of information, media, and technology skills. So this framework was inspiring for us. We were looking to that questionnaire, and we did a pilot in 22 with 94 students to see how the questions could be adapted to university levels. We got feedback, and we did small changes, not only the content of the items, but also the way we rated. In the beginning it was a 5-point Likert scale, but as we saw that students were quite optimistic and rated their own skills from the beginning already quite high, so they call it a ceiling effect. We changed to a 10-point scale from 1 to 10, so a vast scale. Then we had the first wave of data collection in 2022 with a new questionnaire. Most of them were PE students and movement sciences, but also students physiotherapy. I know yesterday we also had a presentation of the difference between physiotherapy and movement sciences. So it's because also in our faculty these students are combined. We have them in the same faculty. And then in 23 there was a second wave of data collection. Not only also 250 students, physical education, movement sciences and physiotherapy, but also the psychology students we tried to integrate in the data collection, because the most important point at that time was looking for a good structured questionnaire that can be used not only for PE students but also other students. So in total we had 580 students from the Vrije University Brussels, and removing the missing data we had a sample of 551 in our factor analysis. As there is not that much time, but of course we did a Varimax rotation to understand the structure and to cluster all the items in different structures. And in the beginning we had 13 factors, 85 items, and that's quite a lot. So we took out 35 items and came to 9 factors. So all these items that were lower than 0.4 or were insufficient for a predictor factor, or if there was no correlation between the items in one of these factors, these items were deleted, and we came to the following clusters. So perhaps here it's interesting, I will present very shortly the 9 factors that you think about. Is this also an aim of one of your courses, and how do you cooperate with the colleagues to to work on these 21st century skills. Collaboration was one of the factors, 12 items, and quite good alpha value. Initiative taking and self-management was another one. And we can see in the lowest scores of the items that students in the first year, they complain they can plan quite well themselves. So that is something where they are realistic and scored quite low. Then the third category was creativity and innovation with 6 items. The critical thinking and problem solving was the fourth category. Then, of course, information, media and literacy, technology with 5 items. A communication, a very important clustering of skills that we promised from the beginning, and that we also see that the students, physical education and physiotherapy, they really work on it, because a lot of courses stress the oral and the verbal communication skills. Then flexibility and adaptability, they were split. And then the last one, social and cross-cultural skills with 3 items. So as I said, depending on the items, sometimes first year students are very optimistic and don't have a real good self-perception of these skills, so it's important for us to measure them in the beginning and then also to communicate during their program to see how they can grow. For the future, of course, now we have, and we still are working on that, because in the start of the academic year we also have new students, 200 new students that we measure with the same instrument, so we will still fine-tune the questionnaire. But we realize that if you have a structure in your program that, for example, we call it a matrix, where you indicate what kind of life skills you are working on in your course, it's important to communicate with the colleagues, because otherwise, is everyone working on communication, for example, and not on the other ones, you don't know from each other. So I don't know, and it's a question for the discussion, how it is in your education, but I'm quite critical that a lot of professors and teachers are doing their own course, and there is not that much communication about the 21st century skills. Except if there is a good final evaluation, for example, in the internship, then they have to reflect on the SWOT analysis and so on, or a POP. So the future is that we still have to look very critical to each of our courses, even if it's not a pedagogical oriented course, but that we have to communicate with the different teachers to see what kind of skills we bring forward. And of course, this platform is idle to invite people, if you're interested, to cooperate, even if it's with master theses that can measure with the same instrument. I have to be honest, it's only in our language, in Dutch, but we will translate it, and of course also the validation in other countries and other languages still needs to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christine. We'll have points for discussion later on, I think.
Now the call is for the next speaker, Ms. Gentiana Nice from University of Shkodra. She's not here. Okay. Let's continue with Mr. Rosario Ceruso. He comes from Pegaso University, from Italy, and he's going to present the topic of football, esports, and football. What is the link?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I shall my work entitled Football, Esports, and Football. What is the link? First of all, it is important to cite the 33 article of Italian Constitution, because it focuses on the educational, social, and psychophysical value of sports activity. But why do I talk about sports activity? Because in the October 2017, The International Olympic Committee recognizes esports as a sports activity, and with the introduction of the leader in the Olympic Games. The procedure for includes Olympic sport in the Olympic Games involves in two events. The first is an inaugural and demonstration event. The second is the official event. For esports, there is a parallel event that can take place in another years and in another city of also the Olympic Games. The first event organized by the International Olympic Committee is the Olympic Esports Week, and it took place in Singapore. 10 different types of sports were included, for example, baseball, taekwondo, motorsport, dance sport, tennis, but there is no included the football, but in short term it will introduce. The first Sports Olympic will be in Saudi Arabia 2025, and the International Olympic Committee and Saudi Arabia signed an agreement for 12 years. But after all this information, it is important to specify that this study is on the focus on the football. And the problem of this study is that there is no evidence between the technical, tactical, and psychophysical performance of the game of football with the visual practice of esports football. And consequently, the aim of this research is to measure the impact of football esports on young footballer perception, opinions, and awareness, focusing on the key components: motivation, technical, tactical skills, and psychophysical effects. The method involved with the literature review with the Prisma method. The literature review is important because it permits me develop the questionnaire through the literature review. And subsampling 42 athletes between 5 and 18 aged was recruited, and development on an ad hoc questionnaire structured in 50 questions divided into 3 parts. The first section is for collecting demographic data of the participants. The second is for exploring the effect of football esports in the motivation of young footballers. And the third is for analyzing of the relationship between esports and the real football practice. Subsampling and descriptive analysis was performed with the test of T-square, and to understand any significant relationship with the qualitative variables. This is the questionnaire, and you can see the 3 sections with the different colors. For the question, there are maximum for 4 items, and the subjects chose one answer for question. From the results, the 17.4% of the sample think that playing football video games positively influence their motivation to play real football. The 71% think that the football video games improve their football-related cognitive skills, for example, game vision, timing, and strategy. And the 17% think that play football video games can influence their career choices. For career choices, we intend the dropout phenomenon and the motivation to play and practice the real football. Another important result is that for 94% have a good opinion, positive opinion with the esports football, and 18% think that the video games can use during the real matches and the real pitch, and it can help him to learn the new strategy and that use in the real match. Another important fact is that for 93% of the sample think that it is important to balance the virtual practice with the real practice of football. Before the analysis of this word, it is important cite that the average of number hours of the time spent with video games of football for the week is 3 hours per week, and the significant relationships are three. The first is between time spent with football, video game, and cognitive skills and learned cognitive skills. The second is between the time spent with video games and motivation to play real football, and the third is to motivation and cognitive skills. From the result, the significant role of football in sports in the real life adolescence also emerged because of the entertainment opportunity they provide. It offers as well as the increase in motivation to play real life football and the improvement of football-related cognitive skills, such as the perception of young footballers on the real-life application of football. In conclusion, it will be useful to extend this research to an international level in order to fully understand the incidence of esports in the sporting context in the European countries of the Balkan and Mediterranean region, in order to highlight similarities and contradictions with respect to the Italian territory. Such an extension would represent a significant development opportunity for educational sport, the mission of the European Network of Sports Education. Thank you for attention and attention.
Is Gentiana here?
Okay, then we switch to the next speaker, who is Francesca coming from the University of Rome, and she will talk about the profile of boxing coaches in Italy for female boxers, and analyze the expertise and received by years.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Francesca Martuscello, second year PhD student from the University of Rome for Italia. And today I will talk about the profile of boxing coaches in Italy for female boxers in terms of expertise and their perceived barriers. We know the relationship between a coach and her athletes influences their performance, their motivation, and overall success. And male and female athletes share many similarities in their coaching needs. But the evidence indicates that the relational competence of coaches is crucial to the coaching requirements of the women athletes. So, aim of our study is investigate the expertise and the knowledge of female boxers of Italian boxing coaches with a focus on perceived barriers and identify challenges and areas for improvement in their coaching. We have sent to the coaches on the Italian Boxing Federation a questionnaire. A total of 75 coaches responded, divided in 63 male and 12 female. The questionnaire was composed by 3 key areas: general information, age, sex and level of education, professional background, boxing certification, boxing coaching experience and female boxing experience, coaching experience, barriers and the difficulty and the knowledge of psychophysiological characteristics of female boxer, comparison between male and female boxing, facilities quality, environmental support, competition scheduling, and support to dual career. So, about the general information, the most of coaches have high school diploma. And for the 50 coaches, the boxing coaching is not the primary occupation. The all of the coaches have a certification from Italian Boxing Federation, and 96% of coaches have continuously coached over the years without interruption. 99% of coaches have coached female boxer at least one, and 12 of coaches have experience with all female categories, from girls, child, until professional boxers. but 89% of coaches have experience with boxers competing in amateur Olympic boxing. 45% of coaches have trained female boxers in international competition, including Olympics, International European Championship, World Championship, and 55% of coaches have trained female boxers in national competition. About the barriers, when we asked coaches if they are agree or disagree with this statement, boxing is not a sport suitable for women, 73% of male and 83% of female coaches disagree or strongly disagree with this statement. But 13% agreed or were neutral with this statement. And when we asked them, do you believe that coaching female boxers present more challenges compared to coaching male boxers? 68% of coaches believe there are not many differences. About the other barriers, 49% of coaches consider sport facilities suitable or very suitable for hosting female boxers. 62% of coaches perceive significant support for female boxing from the parents or friends. 18% of coaches perceive that the current Italian education system is not or somewhat adequate to support the female boxer's dual career. 65% of coaches rated the scheduling of activity organized by club, committee or federation as neutral or adequate. Final, about the knowledge of psychophysiological characteristics and the needs of female boxers, 40% of coaches consider their knowledge inadequate, somewhat adequate, or neutral. And only 27% of coaches consider their knowledge very adequate. So, coaches believe that boxing is suitable for women, but there is assurance and neutrality regarding the difference between male and female boxing. The support system, particularly the current educational frameworks for balancing academic and athletics career, are inadequate for female boxers. Too many coaches still consider their knowledge of the psychophysiological needs of female boxers to be insufficient or neutral. So, if we want more inclusive and successful coaching, we have need, first, improve the coach education on the specific needs of female boxers. It's very, very important. Improve the support for dual career is important too, and improve the infrastructure for hosting female boxers. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
The floor is calling again for Ms. Christine de Morteller. She comes from Vrije University, Brussels, and this time she's going to present a very interesting topic: equating literacy for all children, future possibilities to engage the broader society and implications for sports education. Floor for you.
Thank you for the introduction. Indeed, it's a topic where I'm very passionate about. You will see it in my enthusiasm. ALFAC is the abbreviation of project we have done with, or we are doing, because it's finishing in September 2025. It's with 7 countries, and the aim is that we combine, in fact, the idea of water competence, which is much broader than being able to swim a certain distance. I don't know how you had your swimming education, but since the publication in 2017 of Bob Spellman et al., usually we all realize that it's much more than that. It's not only about skills, it's also about knowledge and the right attitude to behave right, for example, when you engage in aquatic recreation in open water. So this was the start to inspire us in the program. Also, most of you, I think, know about physical literacy. It's also that integration and holistic view to moving lifelong engagement, and being motivated to be active in that specific sport, in this case, with the aquatics. So we combined the physical aspects, the aquatic skills, psychological and social we put together in the psychosocial category, and then there is the cognitive category. This is the model that is already found on the ALFAC website. We are still working on a pedagogical toolkit because we want to have a lot of exercises for all of these categories which are overlapping a lot. So not only looking to isolated skills to be performed in the swimming pool, but for example, working also on their knowledge or their social interaction while being active in the water. So when we summarize these three categories, being able to measure also, because the first question we always get, do they swim better in your country than in other countries? I don't know if these questions are also here, but often the media calls us when there is a drowning and they say, what about the skills of our youth? And then we have to answer, sorry, we don't have a good data and we cannot compare data with other countries because it's another test battery. And this was the aim of the project, that we measure some elements in aquatic skills. So I do and I think I can do. This is perception. We will see later on in the questionnaire how we did it. But also the psychosocial, how are you motivated? Are you motivated to go swimming with the school? Are you motivated to swim with your family and friends, and so on? So it's broader than only measuring the skills. And the third category is about risk perception. How good are they in perceiving some risks in swimming pools, but also in open water? So one of these important assessment parts were done in a swimming pool for isolated skills, but also in a parcours. I don't know how you call parcours, but it's like a French term where it's going through parcours, to do these skills more integrated, and they have to think about and they have to make decisions themselves. So this combination of isolated skills and a parcours. So not only providing an international test batteries was important, but also being able to compare. And for the moment, I think we have about 1,600 children. Our aim is we are still measuring in the 7 countries elementary school children, to have 2,000 children in total, and hopefully we can have enough in every country in the 3 age groups from the beginning of the elementary school until 12 years to compare not only on age, country, but also on the gender. And of course, as I said, finally also giving input on pedagogical exercises for that integration approach of aquatic literacy. So here you can see an overview of what we do in classroom. It takes about 1 hour, 1 hour 20 sometimes, depending on the age of the children, to ask all these questions. You can imagine that some of the questions, like motivation, if you link that with the theory, you can not only ask one question, but you ask more questions, and then the young children, it's like the same questions, okay, and the questions are comparable. Engagement, also important to see what kind of activities, more than being active in a pool, do they know the activities they can do in open water? Do they want to do it in the future, and so on? I can see that the conference is not that on the screen, but important is here, and you can also see it in the motor skills on dry land. More and more researchers try to compare how do they do it when they measure, when we measure them objectively, and what about their perception? Why this is important in aquatics? Because if they over-perceive themselves, if they think, okay, I can float, I can do every skill, I'm good in that, but in reality they are not, this is a danger. For other skills like in soccer, it's a pity if they don't perceive themselves quite well, but it has an extra danger for swimming. So, of course, we try to do it very ecological. So we tried in the Sporthochschule in Köln with a lot of kids the first time we tested. We do also several scientific approaches for the reliability, the content validity. So also not only with our group, but also with external people asking, what do you think about all these aspects that we ask. And of course, then you have dilemma. Sometimes they say, yeah, you missed this and this and this. But if you add all these elements, that is indeed interesting from a theoretical point of view, then you have a questionnaire of 2 or 3 hours and a test battery that takes more than 2 sessions. So we always have to choose about or between theoretical perfect and realistic or ecological valid. I'm not going to go in detail, but of course we looked in the literature to see what kind of aquatic fundamentals had to be in that test battery, and we came to, sorry, this was 9, so before we had 10, but we changed it, so mistake, it's 9 isolated skills. And then if some of these isolated skills were enough, they could go to the parcours. This is an example of the 5 levels to get in the water. The row above you can see skills, and they really see it in the pool on pictures on the wall, and we ask them, how good do you think, what kind of level are you doing when we start? But they had the same pictures already in the classroom. Same for every skill. This is only an example of going in the water and going out of the water. Of course, for doing the distance, it was swimming on the back and swimming on the front for 2 minutes and then count how many meters they do. We know that a lot of different swimming pools have other accommodations and situations, so we try to find something where you have to swim between 2 lines and touch with the head, so it's not with the wall, because some pools are smaller, so in between 15 meters they have to do. So every skill is really discussed in detail, because like also floating, in the literature they say floating for 15 seconds, that's not enough. You have to be able to float much longer, but if we do that in the test and we say float for 2 minutes, the test battery is of course too long, and if they do it right the first 15 seconds, you can imagine they can do that. This is also an isolated skill of breathing, with 5 levels, where we had a lot of discussions, and then we analyze video material underwater to see what kind of rating do you give to this breathing. That's an overview of how we organize it in 3 stations. A scoring formula, scoring sheet for the isolated, and also for the parcours. I'm not going to explain in detail, because if you go to the website, some periods where it's already in English, the handout is already available in English. Looking to the engagement, not only for sports disciplines, if you look to international swimming disciplines, it's not only the strokes, but also water polo, synchronized swimming, and so on, and then all of the open water recreation. To look to the different countries if these children are interested to participate, if possible, of course, taking into account where they live. But when they get older, they can also travel and see if they can do, for example, windsurfing, if it's not possible in their country. So this was always questions with, have you ever done this activity? And then they had to say yes or no. If it was yes, then we asked, do you like more of this? Imagine that they did an activity and that they really hate it, then we know it. And never did it, but if you want to do it later on. The same with a lot of activities in open water, so to have a broader overview of engagement. Then the last part is about risk perception, to see if they are able to know about possible risks in water recreation in 2 situations, the context of a swimming pool, so a quite safe environment, and then the open water. Then we developed a picture with 10 situations, and they get a question to rate for each of the numbers when they see the picture how dangerous for them this situation would be. And before, based on the literature and our own opinion, we selected 5 situations that were not dangerous and 5 that can be dangerous. For example, if you jump here and you swim under, it can be a problem. The same for open water. This had a lot of discussions because we came from 7 different countries and we had to decide what kind of accommodation we would show them. So it's like a combination of a lake and a little bit of the sea also. Also the same principle, 10 situations, and then for every number they had to rate danger or not. I'm looking to the time, I think my 8 minutes will be finished.
No, you can continue.
Yeah, okay. aspects for the future, because this is important also to see how we can again increase the quality. We saw that asking someone to draw the pictures is not that easy, because emotions or the way they have to draw, not only the motor skills but also the dangers, it gives discussion. So for me the future is that we will use tools more with virtual reality, more video or games that we can use, like that is already done for CPR, for example. So for me, after this project, perhaps some of you can think about what about following up if you're interested in aquatics and swimming. But of course, the educational value as well to the children, their educational surrounding, like in schools, but also the families. These materials should be useful to use more and not only scientific. I made a summary on a social ecological way to look at the micro level, that's intrapersonal and interpersonal. What about our individual swimming lessons and our interaction with the children? Do we use teaching methods, teaching styles that stimulate a broader education, or are we still focusing on how we had perhaps in our own education very boring effect a little bit on swimming from one point to another, or do we think more holistic? And do we share didactical material? Do we share if there is technical innovation to improve the fantasy, creativity, to give them more motivation for aquatics? Looking at the institutional, organizational level, I don't know in your country if you still have different organizations working on aquatics and swimming or water recreation, but at least in Belgium, I know Belgium is a very complicated structure, so I'm not going to explain, but in the Flemish-speaking part, we have already different organizations focusing on aquatic recreation, and if they don't communicate or do projects together or work on the same topics, that's a pity. Thinking, for example, about your certificate you ask the children when they will enter, like rowing or windsurfing in an organization or sports camp. What kind of certificate do they have to prove that they are already a little bit water competent or aquatic literate? Is that well communicated? Is it based on the fundamentals that I explained? So a lot of work to do, not only on micro level but also in our society to educate the broader idea of aquatic literacy. So here again, if interested in cooperation.
Thank you very much. Actually, we are already coming to the final speaker. It could be one very easy. He's coming from his rector of the University of Business and Technology in Kosovo, and he's talking about integrating highly XR-based technology for sport education, the classroom 4.0 LGBT smart city.
Thank you very much, dear sirs. Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. I wanted to bring another. I wanted to bring another perspective from the using the innovation ecosystem to the sport education from the UBT perspective that we try to work many years now in so-called UBT smart city. Inside the classroom 4.0, and then from this the application to the sport education. So what does mean smart city? As the entire methodology is based on the system design, on user interface interaction, stakeholders involvement in decision making. So it's a systematic approach which we try then based on this design prototypes, using and coming to feedbacks and evolving and improving things further. So last year I was in the ENSE Forum in Rome. We talked about more about the using artificial intelligence for health check and reverse aging. So we have developed an application where we can test the health check parameters via voice. So we use the voice, and we can confirm, let's say, about 100 parameters for the people. So in this case, it has a very good application for sports, especially in a real-time application where they have some momentum that maybe that they don't feel good and so on. So this was last time this year we are talking about the education part. The smart city is a confirmation of a convergence platform to interact different disciplines in a convergence revolution we are living today. So an area which you have different functions of the life, or let's say the entire or different components, and then based on this framework or environment, you can test, you can interact, you can bring some of developments on this area. So we reach to complete, let's say, in a 10 minutes walk, most of the functions that we find in a city. And based on this, you have also all types of generation from, let's say, kindergarten till senior level. And but based on this, we consider there is a framework very good to interact with knowledge we are interested. So this ecosystem belongs to 150 different areas of studies, one-stop shop with more than 200 labs, and 80 companies around, which are related with a smart, self-sustained component of the system. What we try to do in the last years is to implement all kinds of technologies there so that we can test, use, interact with different technologies inside, including also 5G, including also artificial intelligence, and of course visual and augmented reality. Based on this system, there are subsystems we call innovation systems, and you can see here different subsystems of the innovation. We have also the area of sport hubs, which we are dealing with those developing of prototypes in the ecosystem. This ecosystem brings us then to have a platform for Classroom 2.0. Normally, Classroom 2.0 is the concept of labs, so physical areas for sport and so on, simulation, those types we call 2.0. Then between 2.0 and 3.0, we merge a lot of digitalization of functions for education. You can see here a map of World Bank, which confirm the list of technology using for education. Inside, you can find also gaming, AI, and NLP that we have implemented here. And then you reach to the next level, which is the Classroom 3.0. The colleague already mentioned the immersive aspects, the visual, augmented, and augmented reality inside. So what makes this different is that you can access anytime, you can interact in the system like which is not possible in 2.0, and you can generate your knowledge and your content self with different interaction in the Classroom 3.0. If you reach also the 5G, the smart, the real-time capability, then you reach the level of Classroom 4.0. So in this smart city, we have the Classroom 4.0 already implemented, and we are trying now on this ecosystem to interact with platforms that we say, okay, what is inside now? Why this Classroom 4.0 is interesting? First of all, today we can generate a lot of AI-based, let's say, immersive learning content. You can interact with this, you can generate, and you can go very quickly to create courses that you need for new jobs and skills. So you just have to ask AI, and you have to interact, and you generate different approaches based on the knowledge we have in the let's say, knowledge area. Very cost effective, based on our research, we can decrease till 60% the cost of the education point, flexible, real-time update, accessibility, and very inclusive retraining opportunities for this part. Here we worked in the last years to use AI and VR in the education. As I said, with the methodology of prototype development base. We are working in many projects and programs related today in this part. One of this that I presented here is using AI and XR for education. And the next subsystem is using AR AI and the XR for sport education. It makes very good sense because you can really reach another perspective on this part. First of all, the platform is mobile based, so you can use in this format. You can just create your own content, your own avatar. An avatar is your, let's say, students or your coach or your person that you wanted to interact with you. This is a very, let's say, close to real-time interaction with the students or staff or players, which make you a good environment to have a kind of real-time 24 hours mentorship with you in your pocket. So in any case you need something, you can do this simulation part. An interesting point is also for coach, for example. I just make an example for coaching football. So you started, you generate the content you find in the literature around, because AI will bring you this knowledge to you. You can select those you consider they make point. You can learn or can give to the people to learn it. And then after this, which is the next very important for us, is that you can assess your current skills. So based on the interaction, for example, a coach has to use different words or text for motivation. And this platform can assess you if you are really good in the motivation speeches. And based on this, you can rate your assessment. You can be assessed from 0% to 100%. So means before you go to the real actions, you can train yourself. You can bring yourself in a level that you can be confident in order to go to the next level of support. So something that maybe going in a classical way of training and coaching take a lot of time and cost, and maybe most important is not the accessibility of mentors or trainers every time. So in this case, I think using now the AI, which we can have our own system, institution-based AI platform, which we put the ethics, the content, the directions, and then we can use for our members, I think is something that we can consider a very interesting and very, let's say, efficient and effective point for usage in this. Including, you have also ethical feedback inside, because the ethical and legal framework you designed with the platform. So this was what I wanted to say, that with AI-based and immersive in VR, my XR is important, because if you go to ChatGPT, you get text and you can take voice, but you don't take the visualization. So in this platform, we have integrated the knowledge interaction, which you can have this kind of ChatGPT, plus the framework of visualization and simulation of cases you can have in practice. So I think this gives a lot of reality-based or close to the reality elements to speed the competence you have to gain and to have in this platform. So this is, let's say, what I wanted to express today or show to you.
Thank you very much, Edmund. Actually, we have quite a lot of time left, fortunately.
We will have a last call for Diana Nita.
No, she did not arrive, so we have quite a lot of time for discussion. I see already some hands rising there. Laura, will you?
Thank you so much. Very interesting presentation, but in particular, I would like to ask whether it is possible to use the questionnaire you use with the students in other contexts, like in my university, because we have this problem. We always talk about the 21st century soft skills and so on, but we do not know, we are unable to measure them. So, because you developed this questionnaire, I would propose to run a pilot to see whether this questionnaire can fit other context, and that was my university and my courses. I'm coordinating one, I'm teaching four, master level. And we always say, well, we want to do congregation, so we state this because of the Dublin declaration. But if many others would engage, because there is also a cultural aspect and also a background aspect. So we have to match what we want to provide to our students and whether they have this. I think it's a wonderful idea, and ENSE can be a good platform to engage in this kind of. I'm ready to do it right now, okay? So, myself. But the other thing is you said a proposal of a new project. Well, this is actually opportunity, I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all the presentation. Thank you for broadening our perspective and also enriching our knowledge. I do have also a question for Prof. Christine about aquatic. Have you ever thought or tried to include in the project the ingredients and the temperature of the water, because it's different if it's cold or if it's salty. So how kids would definitely react into this kind of situation. And I would definitely join Prof. Kapranica for joining our universities.
Thank you for the question. On the temperature?
University.
Sorry?
Yeah, and I see you have to communicate which is your university.
It's a private college in Kosovo University.
Yeah. We were neighbors yesterday on the news. Yes, one of the situations in open water was getting cold. But of course, to promote open water recreation, if you live in a country where the temperature is too low, they will provide you with wetsuits. But this is too far here, but indeed I understand that the situation depending on accessibility of warm water. We are jealous also in Belgium because in Spain and Portugal the water is warmer, the temperature is warmer, so in our country we have 3 or 4 months. Sorry? No. Yeah. So, and that was a discussion in the 7 countries, by the way. I will mention the countries. It was Belgium, Germany, France, Portugal, Lithuania, Poland. So we also had a discussion because in every country you have specific situations. That's the reason why the picture of open water was a general one, with like jumping when you don't know the water, getting cold, or not wearing a life jacket. So we were choosing situations that were possible to communicate in every country. But the important is our tool is for elementary school kids. But of course, once children get to secondary school, they travel, they want to serve in other countries, and then also the idea of international awareness that the seaside in another country is not the same as yours. Also in one country, Atlantic and Mediterranean is another way of recreation. So that was a difficulty, but every country has to translate it in the education material, taking into account the local situation. I'm always happy to cooperate because these are 2 projects where I really believe that you can play a role.
We would like to be part of both of them.
Yeah. So also I have 2 questions, one for Professor De Matalar, one for Professor Alvisi. For you, Christine, I'm the president of Bachelor in our university in Italico, and we are doing the revision of the Bachelor, and we are going to introduce 3 credits for soft skills.
Wow.
Because we have it. So my question directly, because I saw that you were proposing also different. They still don't have soft skills teaching in the program.
Yes,
we teach a lot of these soft skills, but it's not measured, it's not on a structured way communicated with each other. So for example, I have a course, Didactics of Movement, and we work on communicating and sharing what they learned from a certain article in groups. So in a small group of 6 people, they have to communicate. And they tell me, I learned so much because it's like in a small group, I trust my peers and we get clear feedback. So we know they learn a lot on communication, the way how they present and their body language and so on, but we never communicate together with all the other staff members. So it's good if you have a special credits, an isolated course, but still then you need to have insight in what the others do and build it from the first year, the second, the third, and see how the structured approach is more, because now we do, and there is not enough communication. In our situation, I can believe it's
thanks, because this is really helpful what you say. And for Professor Erisi, it's a requirement. I don't know if it's possible, we have some cables somewhere, but I know some of these tools that you were showing, but I think that would be very interesting if you can show with your mobile an example, because everybody here now is speaking, okay, but what is exactly? Since it's very interesting, I don't know if it's possible to connect with cables the mobile with a projector or with a computer using if something is possible, I don't know. You are the man of the miracle yesterday, you did so maybe. It's not possible to connect the mobile.
If it is an iPhone,
Yes.
I have all the connection to
Yeah, but it's immersive. We cannot. This is Classroom 1.0. We are talking for.
So you cannot, because you cannot go on internet.
Yes, but if you see this is the platform where we can choose what we want to do. We can create a new course as a professor, or as a teacher, or as a student. You can have explore something, and you can also have soft skills you mentioned. So we can take soft skills, and then we put in place here our avatar. So we have a person, I don't know if you see, but the person is now my assistant or my contact partner, whatever I want to see. I am the professor, student, or I'm the student, the professor, whatever. So, but I have now an AI-based interaction for specific skills. So I can choose something which I already listed, or I can create something customized. For example, I will do a customized point. I will do the words and say, hello, I wanted to have something about the coach in football. Whatever we wanted to have. So now we will get the knowledge for coaching football. And then you can have different simulation framework, whatever you wanted to have. And then based on this, you can create the environment, so visual environment or augmented reality around you in order to interact with this part. And I can put the knowledge here. So I will have a knowledge which now is coming from the AI to select the knowledge, like ChatGPT for me. So automatically I create a learning course for coaching football. And if you have this, then you can
a football coach is pivotal in shaping a team's success through various elements. Tactics involves strategic planning to outsmart opponents.
You can disagree.
Motivation drives players to perform at their best. Training enhances skills and fitness. Effective communication ensures clear understanding
And this has to be integrated with the profession.
Yes, of course. We will not reduce the power of humans. They will interact, but we will collect things that can make a fast content, and based on this you approve, you can learn, and the most important after this is the assessment. So you will be assessed in interaction with motivation. For example, if I say
Obviously,
continue,
if the professor
so
will questions, will receive.
yes, now you can continue if you want. So somebody who is
Can I ask you one thing?
yes.
From my very scarce experience with ChatGPT and with the feedback from my students, okay, because they tend to use it and tend to substitute.
It's not ChatGPT.
No, just saying AI and so on. The quality of the outcome, okay. If you think about basic thing, I can agree that the quality can, because you have to teach the artificial intelligence. So you have to be very skilled to teach and get feedback. I would say that the challenge is that most of the time our students or even the people who do not realize what expertise means, they get it as granted, whatever they do. So I heard about something on soccer. Yes, there is tactics, there is strategy, and so on. Obvious for us, you know. The level is very basic.
The question was basic.
The question was
And when you go deeper, as you said, this depends on you.
That is the question. Like, we're using AI, like all good things, like everybody's using it. It's something that we have to do all the time. But what is the background of information that we're getting? Like, is it based on science, research? Because as long as we know how to make a good question, we already have knowledge about something. So,
If I can add also one thing, because I was in this class in the UBT using also, it's not only about the contents, but also the use of the virtual reality environment. For instance, I was in a class, I was trying to be a professor of geography, and I was moving the satellite. I was on Mars, I was on the moon, so on the solar system, no? Or in a field. So you can create during your class, you can create a real exercise on the field, and that is different from obviously the general content.
We are talking for the latest kind of latest development. What we wanted to show to you is that students can reach the competence a bit before they go to the exam. We wanted to say that there is a 24/7 mentorship that you can have. The second point is it's not a question and answer. It's a real interaction, especially to soft skills. If you want to have a good communication, you say something and you have a counterpartner which answer you. This is not everywhere. So you get an answer which is close to the relative. And this is very important that you can have an interaction that you feel. And by then, there is a knowledge-based, let's say, platform behind that can assess you based on the criteria I set in my university. If I said that this plagiarism is the level that you should not go over, they will say me, no, you are not more. Or if I put the ethical policy in my platform, this will be the platform of my conversation with the student. So I think it's something which we did not have before. And this ethical point is much more than realistic as in staff assessment rather than in a peer review of 2-3 subjective-based people who will have some positive energy about you or whatever. So this will be done based on the rules of best practice. You listen, you put it, and you learn. But for me, it's something which we never experienced before, that you have a computer and interact like a human for coaching. So if I put now a question as a coach and I work as a coach, they will tell me that maybe I just yesterday simulated a case of coach. And they said, okay, you are good in this and this, but you are not good in mental health. You did not this and that's wrong. you did not reuse this word. You should use this word. So I think there are things that can be considered. You as a head of coach or coach, you can control. But if you consider this is under the quality assurance framework, why not that people should be trained many times during the days and weeks and increase their competences to be better in communication, in interaction, and even in the hard skills competence. So I think it's something which it's a perfect match for us. I don't see any negative. I see quite a very advanced and very helpful for me, something that I can learn. So not so simple like elements we do right class, and so it's not the level. We are talking for another level. A level which you interact with a human and a virtual-based human, which you may question your question, not questions that are in book or in a sentence or in curriculum or so. Your natural question. If you start now to say, for example, I can say, I can start with a hello or whatever. My name is this. I wanted to talk about the coach. We say hello, and we are starting to talk. And behind, we will have a platform which assess our way of conversation, the voice, the communication, the text, the content. And then by then, you say, oh, you have reached 40% of the level we consider it makes sense. Can you imagine we reach to have for students a mentor 24/7? We cannot have time for students every day. We can have 1 hour per week or whatever, but not somebody which can lead them or support them. And I think for coaches that's also very important. I'm not talking for professional coach, I'm talking for those who wanted to reach a level of competence that they go and interact with.
Maybe just a comment from my side, because we have been talking yesterday also that there is a lot of evidence emerging that with digitalization, with screen time, the amount of physical activity has been drastically going down in reality, which caused a vicious circle in a way that people, children, are getting more and more sick, and it's not a part of the healthy development. How we can use this blessing, and it is a blessing, on the one hand side, and use it on the other side to combine it, that it's not going into this vicious circle, but in another way, in reality, to improve the amount of physical activity which children are doing, because this is a serious problem which we are facing.
You know, with virtual reality, you can generate different movements, sometimes much better movements that you have in the practice. So you can measure exact the points, the format, and then with different scenarios you are developing, you reach really quite very close better performance. I just mentioned I was now in Dubai in the conference for sport medicine, where we put Kosovo now, and we talked with the companies that they created. So they create really a very good example how you reach similar levels with skiing, with format and so on.
There is no doubt that they can develop this,
yeah.
But the thing is, are they able to motivate the children to do it in reality? Because I'm scared, and also based what I see on a daily basis, that this is not the case. The motivation is lacking, and in reality they're watching the screen, but they are not exercising.
This platform is an interactive platform. It's not a video. So it's not a video that you would watch 6 minutes, 8 minutes, and you are done. It's an interactive. We consider the young generation are social learners. So they wanted to have this interactivity. Otherwise, you will not motivate people to learn as we had before. I think we need to have different tools, different approach in order to reach two things: interactivity, self-orientation, adaptability, and last but not least, the speed of reaching the competence. Because with this speed of reaching competence, we are not able to work on the
Additional tools.
haven't finished yet.
This is not a tool which replaces the humans and people and professors and stuff and so on. It's just a tool, a support tools, integrated, interacting, and belong to this Society 5.0. And I think, from my perspective, there is a lot of efficiency inside, and it's cheaper and makes sense to use it. And I think we will use it because it's part. Any other additional activities you mentioned, Professor, life, behavior, and all this, we can contemplate in one line, green and the natural, things that should stay in this part. But there are some elements which we consider they are very beneficial in this part.
Thank you very much, Mr. Do we have any other question or insights? Okay, so everyone and each speaker can come here and get the certificate. The next session will be in